Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. On Monday, the Polish government is expected to present a new proposal to teachers. During an interview today on the Polski radio station, the Deputy Prime Minister, Beata Szydło, emphasised that the government is doing everything it can to stop the strike announced by the Teachers' Union, which is expected to begin on 8th April.
The Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, asked me to join the negotiations. I agreed to do it because I feel obliged to. I think the situation is very serious right now and we should do everything we can to make it right. The exams, which are due to start soon, are the priority. We're trying to find a solution so that the teachers won't strike, as they announced they would. The group of ministers who are supposed to talk with them is very strong, and we will try to continue this dialogue on Monday.
The Cookish 15 movement continues to collect signatures under the list of its candidates for the European Parliament. Some political commentators are reporting that the movement might have problems with collecting enough signatures in time to submit them to the election authorities. The main problem is with the number of people who collect the signatures in various electoral districts around Poland. This is the major issue of the day for the politicians of the Cookish 15 movement.
Despite media revelations that the Cookies 15 movement is having problems with the collection of signatures, or to be more exact, with the people who collect them, the leader himself and other politicians from the movement are denying the news. This is just gossip. Somebody really wants to discredit the Cookies 15 movement because they see the great threat. As far as signatures go, I don't see any problems. Just a moment ago I talked with Robert Kaczmarczyk. He said that we have 15,000 in the south, and let me tell you that we need 10,000 to register for the election. In my area, in the Lublin district, we have 12,000 already, so I have no idea how someone sees a problem in that. It seems to me that the other political groups are having a hard time with this task and trying to discredit the third political force in Poland. It does not work this way. First, the Cookies 15 politicians declared that they would reveal their list of candidates sooner than the European coalition.
Coalition is one of the ways to deal with these types of elections. Secondly, we need to remember that the reason to build local party structures over many years is to have them ready for action in cases like this.
The Cookies 15 movement is being touted as a potential force to form a coalition with in the future government after the parliamentary elections in autumn. If they are absent in the European elections this spring, it could drastically change the political scene. This would be a big surprise. Politics is not only TV appearances, but hard work every day to get the followers for your party and get them involved in the local district. In the view of political commentators, the current troubles of the Cookies 15 movement stem from the chaos created by the departure of a number of its MPs to other parties and the fact that some patriotic Poles have now shifted their loyalty to the Korwin-Brown-Leroy right-wing coalition. Despite the lack of some signatures on the election list, Paweł Kukiz announced the lead candidates on all the lists in the country. Stanisław Tyszka leads the Warsaw list, Agnieszka Ścigaj is first on the list for Lower Silesia, while Grzegorz Długi tops the Silesia district.
The German heavy metal band Rammstein has released its latest music video entitled Deutschland. However, the song has raised a certain amount of controversy given the costumes worn by the band members and their references to certain troubled episodes of German history. More on this musical provocation from Wojciech Kościak.
The Deutschland song promotes the band's 7th album. The music video shows various parts of German history, but the biggest controversies have risen around the fragment portraying members of the band dressed in striped clothes like the concentration camps prisoners had in the Second World War. Jewish communities are calling it trivialization of the Holocaust, while in Germany the video has sparked a debate about the limits of artistic freedom. This song is sort of an anti-German piece, meaning the lyrical subject expresses an attitude called Hassliebe in German. It's kind of a love-hate feeling, a combination of two very opposite emotions, especially regarding the history of the country. Their history is marked with events that make the Germans ashamed. When we Poles look at such a video, we see people dressed in striped camp clothes pertaining to concentration camps, and they are Germans, singing in German. That immediately makes us anxious, especially if we don't fully understand the lyrics. But let's remember that Rammstein is a very liberal band. One could even say it's oikophobic against its own country. The band's members think that patriotism, national pride, not to mention nationalism, are all wrong. They are, in a way, opponents of Germanness, but at the same time are fascinated by its aesthetic.
W sensie estetycznym zafascynowani tą niemieckością.
Ten wątek, który chyba najmocniej został podchwycony.
The Jewish fragment in all this, which raised some controversies, was the fact that one of the prisoners about to be hanged in the video wore a yellow Star of David. It must be stressed that it's part of a longer story told in the video. A prisoner wearing a pink triangle, which was meant for homosexual prisoners in concentration camps, is also shown later on. They are showing a part of the country's history, good and bad, since the band's members don't hide that they are from Germany and often mention their nationality.
W obozach koncentracyjnych. To nie pierwszy raz, gdy o niemieckim Rammsteinie jest.
It's not the first time the German heavy metal band has caused controversy. In the past they have sung about necrophilia, cannibalism and sadomasochism. One of their albums was even taken off the shelves due to numerous protests.
Wycofany ze sprzedaży ze względu na liczne protesty.
As widely expected, the House of Commons has rejected for the third time the European Union withdrawal agreement negotiated by the Prime Minister Theresa May. The government lost by 344 votes to 286, a majority of 58. This means that the United Kingdom has missed a European Union deadline to delay Brexit until the 22nd of May and leave with a deal, and now has until the 12th of April to seek a longer extension to the negotiation process to avoid a no-deal Brexit on that date. With a clear majority in the Commons against a no-deal Brexit, and with MPs holding more votes on alternative plans on Monday, Mrs May said that the UK would have to find an alternative way forward.
Order! Order!
The happiness at the result of the vote was clear from the reaction of demonstrators gathered outside Parliament. This is the third consecutive House of Commons defeat for the deal negotiated by Theresa May's government. The Prime Minister herself was clearly disappointed by the result of today's vote.
Mr. Speaker, I think it should be a matter of profound regret to every member of this House that once again we have been unable to support leaving the European Union in an orderly fashion. The implications of the House's decision are grave. The legal default now is that the United Kingdom is due to leave the European Union on the 12th of April, in just 14 days' time. That is not enough time to agree, legislate for and ratify a deal, and yet the House has been clear it will not permit leaving without a deal. And so we will have to agree an alternative way forward.
The President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, reacted immediately to the decision of MPs on Twitter.
In view of the rejection of the withdrawal agreement House of Commons, I have decided to convene a European Council on April 10th.
Opponents of Theresa May are now waiting for her resignation.
Mr. Speaker, the House has been clear. This deal now has to change. There has to be an alternative found. And if the Prime Minister can't accept that, then she must go, not at an indeterminate date in the future, but now, so that we can decide the future of this country through a general election.
However, the Prime Minister does not intend to abandon completion of the Brexit process.
Mr. Speaker, I fear we are reaching the limits of this process in this House. This House has rejected no deal. It has rejected no Brexit. On Wednesday, it rejected all the variations of the deal on the table. And today, it has rejected approving the withdrawal agreement alone and continuing a process on the future. This government will continue to press the case for the orderly Brexit that the result of the referendum demands.
On Monday, the House of Commons will continue to debate Brexit. If, as a result of these debates, the UK decides to ask the EU to extend the time until leaving the Union, the United Kingdom will have to organise elections to the European Parliament, which will take place at the end of May.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, business and more besides. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. In that night, sky will be cloudless. Temperatures increase to 6 degrees in Gdańsk. The minimum temperatures will be 1 degree in Łódź, Lublin and Rzeszów. Pressure will be high. Wind will be gusty. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. A very nice day is expected. Lots of sun will appear around Kraków, and there we will see the highest temperatures, 18 degrees. 18 will be in Wrocław as well. The minimum, 13 degrees, will be in Gdańsk. Showers will appear only around Koszalin. Pressure will fall. Let's see the forecast for the next days. On Sunday, rainfall will occur in all regions. Temperatures will rise to 17 degrees. On Monday, plenty of sunshine is expected in the whole country. On Tuesday, temperatures will range from 10 to 16 degrees in Śląsk. Goodbye and see you soon.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Professor Wiesław of Akron University, one of the top in the world aviation experts. Sir, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Let us say a few words about the investigation of the Smolensk 2010 crash. You've learned about the crash, all Poles did, and when did you find out that the numbers did not add up?
Yes, I have to remind myself already, because this is 2010 to 2019 right now, 9 years ago. And over the time of, obviously, as any person, we trust the news and information, but verified. Trust but verified. This is a good way of presenting this behavior. So I was one who was capable and able to verify if the wing of Tupolev, by hitting the birch tree of 44 centimeters diameter, can be cut by the birch tree. I was surprised, because I had in my memories the September 11, where the airplanes hit the World Trade Center and Pentagon. And in case of World Trade Center, there are steel columns outside of each tower. And I could see through the pictures the shape of the cross-section of the airplane, with wings, with fuselage, with places for the engines. So you can see that a number of columns made of steel is a little bit stronger than birch tree, was cut by an airplane made of aluminum. So then looking into Pentagon that was hit by airplane, we can see that the hole is going through the concrete walls, and many of them, because the central structure of Pentagon has all those concentric walls, and many of them were penetrated. Concrete. Oh, concrete. I thought that, if you can cut
steel reinforced concrete.
And concrete, how it is possible that one poor, birch tree was able to penetrate and
then you started your professional interest in this crash. We had Smolensk conference with the Polish scientists who disagreed with the official version of psychological problem of the pilots, wrong weather condition, and so on and so on. Now we are in 2019, and we are going to have a breakthrough electronic research tool for this catastrophe.
Yes, over time the methodologies were developed, the new best institutes were joining our effort. So right now we have a team that nobody can even come close. I understand everybody else, like prosecutor office, is jealous of our team and is trying to copy a little bit, but there's no second institute like in Nair in the world. So sorry, we were first, and we will continue. But we are willing to share our findings, our model, our results with prosecutor office, and all they need is to use, for example, our model and
let us tell to our viewers what is the work that is being conducted right now.
Okay, so there's a multiple direction is right now conducted. There's a group who is focusing on the evaluation of the debris field, which is from about 80 meters before that birch tree up to the location of the impact with the ground. They are analyzing every fragment of this airplane, every body piece and bodies of victims, and other items that were on the board of this airplane. The second, is analyzing all the recordings on every recorder that was on board of this airplane, as well as others that was from other airplanes or other control tower or somewhere else. They go to the point of analyzing the electronic process of recording particular database, data points. Because every recording takes time from input to output. So if we are talking about milliseconds of time, but still that millisecond, you remember that the airplane flies 75 meters per second. So even milliseconds is the position change of this airplane.
It started from this inconsistency that the airplane was in 60,000 pieces, and yet there was no hole in the ground.
That is one of big question, and therefore I always, from the time of Smolensk conference, asked. I remember when I was in television, Polish television, and the program was the person who was leading this program called experts of Miller.
The state research commission that confirmed the Russian version of the crash.
That's correct. And one by one he called, and I was there to see if they can talk with me, can ask me questions, and they refuse one by one to ask questions or to answer any questions. And I was open. In fact, it happened the same not only in Poland. I have to say that in Germany, one of the German media person proposed that he will invite me and professor from university in Germany in the area of aerospace to sit at the table and discuss, like to have two opinions for the public to judge who is giving better information or be able to explain better. And I understand the person in power, after that proposal was put for the German television, fired that person. So yes, in Germany, the person for proposing even discussion on Smolensk was fired from.
Dangerous idea, because
it never happened in the United States.
It may hurt Russia, and that was probably the reason. So right now, after 9 years after the crash, we are how close to the final revelation of the data you collected? So,
as you know, as anybody knows, I hope that research is never ending. So we reported and published so-called technical report.
Which is available in English on the websites. Please check technical reports. Polish Ministry of Defense, and you should find it.
Yes, and a year ago it was published, and over there all facts are listed, one by one, facts, without conclusions, without speculations or anything else, pure facts. And those pure facts, for anybody who is a little bit of knowledge, give the final truth.
Sir, thank you very much, and we keep fingers crossed for your work. Professor Wiesław Binienda, one of top world aerospace expert, was our guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. We are expecting a pleasant day. Lots of sun will appear around Kraków, and there we will see the highest temperature, 18 degrees. 18 will be in Wrocław as well. The minimum 13 degrees will be in Gdańsk. Showers will appear only around Koszalin. Pressure will fall. Let's take a look at the forecast for our continent. In the Balkans, temperature will range from 15 to 17 degrees in London. Temperatures will increase in Scandinavia to 13 in Oslo and 15 in Stockholm. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
The Scouting Association of the Polish Republic was founded on the 12th of February in 1989. At present, the Scouting Association has over 15,000 members. It is an associate member of the Confederation of European Scouts. The Scouting Association is a public benefit organization that was established in 1989. It aims to continue the traditions and educational thought of several generations of Polish Scouts. The roots of the ZHR, or the Scouting Association, date back to 1980, when the Circle of Scouting Instructors was created. Andrzej Małkowski gathered together independent environmental scouts and instructors. The Scouting Association of the Republic is a community of friends, children, youth, and adults who, based on Christian values, through Scout leaders, work on themselves to help others. They seek adventure and pursue other elements of the Scouting life that educate a person to find a life full of happiness, to be responsible for oneself and for one's fellow citizens, and to take on the challenges of the modern world.
And could you tell me what is the structure of a scouting team? Because I know that the girls and boys or women and men are in separate teams. Is that correct?
Taki był początek pomysłu na scouting, harcerek, dziewcząt i chłopców osobno.
That was the beginning of the scouting, so the raising of boys and girls separately. Aside from the personal example, which is fundamental, there is also a role model in older friends. A captain is an older friend who, by definition, is someone from the high school, for instance, and not the person at the age of a teacher. That person has more influence on young boys. The same goes with girls. The initiative of raising boys and girls separately was the matter of an influence. At the development stage, it seems obvious that a man would be a good example for girls and the other way around, so a woman would be a good example for boys.
Trudno, żeby mężczyzna był dobrym wzorcem dla dziewcząt, kobieta dobrym wzorcem dla chłopaków. Te środowiska czy drużyny harcerzy się nie spotykają.
Those teams meet at camps, for instance, but at the basic work stage, so at basic units, teams, this division exists, just like it did in the original pre-war team. The same goes with the Polish organization European Scouts. The teams are separate for the girls and for the boys. In a book by the Polish Scouting Association, there are two head offices, men's and women's. They cooperate with each other, but we are aware that in many countries this element of co-education appears, just like here. This is a very important information for us. We decided to get back to this tradition in 1989, and we've been very happy for these 30 years.
Ważna informacja, myśmy jak gdyby w 1989 roku postanowili jednoznacznie wrócić do tej tradycji. Póki co przez te 30 lat jesteśmy z tego bardzo zadowoleni.
During Holy Mass on World Youth Day in Krakow, Pope Francis announced that Panama would be the next host for a world meeting of Scouts. A meeting in the Southern Hemisphere was a distant target for the ZHR scouts from Poland. The president of Panama, appreciating the involvement of ZHR in medical security, invited their representatives to meet. Participation in World Youth Day on the border between the Americas, that is Panama, between North and South America, and being in Central America is a perfect place for this gathering. The entire Polish scouting organization, in particular the Scout Volunteer Ambulance Service, are preparing themselves for this event.
What is the process of becoming a scout? Can everyone join a scouting team?
Czy każdy może zostać harcerzem? No myślę, że może powiem tak. To jest kwestia wyboru. Na pewno harcerstwo, tak jak powiedziałem, w okresie międzywojennym.
Can anyone become a scout? This is the matter of choice. After the war, the Scouting Association in Poland had over 230,000 members. This was the third organization in the world, right after British and American, which had the pretty much same number. Today, the Scouting movement has over 20 million members in the world. When it comes to all of the organization in Poland, we have over 100,000 members, and this is the only one structure that exists. That means that there is no other organization or association that would have the same influence on young people as we have. Maybe it is the effect of the crisis of organized educational work. As we know, there were a couple of organizations like Sokół, from which scouting is derived. Sokół worked in Czech Republic, Slovakia and Hungary.
Zorganizowanej pracy formacyjnej czy wychowawczej. Jak wiemy, w dawnych czasach było mnóstwo stowarzyszeń jak gimnastycznych, jak Sokół choćby i nawet z którego harcerstwo się wywodzi. Sokół na przykład zupełnie spokojnie działa u naszych południowych sąsiadów w Czechach, na Słowacji czy też na Węgrzech. Generalnie nie ma drugiego takiego ruchu jak ruch harcerski w warunkach polskich.
But speaking generally, there is no such movement like ours, who works in an organized way and who builds personalities of young people. That is why a young person has to make a choice, but young people are encouraged to do so by contact with nature, because we organize field trips. They have to survive the first year, where scouting gatherings take place every week, to have the chance to go to a camp, which is not only an element of rest, but also another stage of work and interaction with nature. We know that a rapid development of technology caused the fact that we have very disturbed interpersonal contacts. Cell phones, laptops, tablets, young people use them all the time. Parents do the same. They often give them to children to have some time for themselves. We have rules during our camps. We don't use electronic devices. It's not widely available. Of course, it is useful to check the weather or to contact with services. However, in most cases, scouts have to give their devices to us. They have an hour each day to contact their parents, but they don't use it every day.
W szkoleniach zuchowych jest generalna zasada, że ten sprzęt nie jest użytkowany, znaczy nie jest powszechnie dostępny. Choćby analizowania pogody albo kontaktów zewnętrznych ze służbami jest przez kadrę obozu wykorzystywany. Natomiast w większości przypadków harcerki czy harcerze oddają swoje telefony w depozyt.
Every day we try to provide them with more fun and satisfaction through conversation, activities and adventures. Some of them get really into it, often due to exposure to nature and the elements. We have no electric plugs at our ZHR camps. There is only renewable energy, such as photovoltaics for charging mobile phones to maintain communication, but all other components are traditional for contact with nature. I mean, most of our camps use wooden stoves, as gas cylinders are seldom used. We don't have access to electric power and to the external noise and information in urban civilization. These 2-3 weeks being cut off are a huge relief and regenerating.
Jednak są tradycyjnym elementem spotkania z przyrodą, to znaczy w większości obozów jednak korzystamy z kuchni, które są opalane drewnem. Rzadko się zdarzają butle gazowe, a prądu tym bardziej nie ma jak gdyby dostępu do szumu informacyjnego cywilizacji, więc te 2-3 tygodnie oderwania jest dużym naładowaniem akumulatorów. Ludzie po wakacjach wracają.
So people return, eager to go to school, they make new friendships, they have more energy to work for the next year, and they share this experience with other young people. And so it goes on, year after year. Some people ask about the number of members we have. We have just under 20,000 people, and we do not exceed this at any one time. But over 30 years ago, there were over 100,000 young people in our organization. Each generation spends about 5 years among us. 90% of our instructors are people brought up in our organization. That means that we are still a very young association, except some fellows like myself who founded all of this. We are in the minority.
Do you have any scouts in your family?
Yes. To jest chyba normalne. Jak oddziaływanie przez przykład powoduje... Ja mam w ogóle 6 dzieci i wszystkie moje dzieci...
I guess it is perfectly normal to set an example when raising children and then follow you. I have 6 children and all of them went through scouting. The oldest one is 27 years old, the youngest 12, Karolina, and she is in charge of her squad. Antek is in a 301 squad that I told you before, and I know that he is also influenced by his family, the activity of the parents and by family conversations. My wife was also a scout leader. At some point, as we joke, her duties changed when we had 6 children at home. She is a great person and a physician, so apparently those responsibilities can be reconciled. Some people need an explanation how it is possible. I can only say that it is. But what I think is worth mentioning is that we have never forced our kids into scouting, only led by example. They said, "Dad, I would like to get into it too," and said, "Give it a try." I think that thanks to our troops together, taking them away to meetings, bonfires, they simply liked it. It's not only about genetics here, but the atmosphere of the scouting families. It's not uncommon that when our kids are looking for partners in life, they choose someone with a scouting background. This has happened to my son and my daughter. They met their partners within the scouting movement.
Moich dwójka, zarówno syny, jak i córki, obydwoje mają swoich partnerów, małżonków znalezionych w harcerstwie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we dive into the life and history of the great General Tadeusz Kościuszko. He is the hero of 3 nations, Poland, America, and to the Belarusians. He fought Russia twice in Poland and participated in the American Revolution War on the side of the Americans. Join us as we explore his military career and his interesting life. Our first guest is Dr. Leszek Marek Szczesniak, the head of the Polish Kościuszko Foundation. We will speak in front of the statue of Tadeusz Kościuszko in central Warsaw. Together, we will examine General Kościuszko's background and the motivation behind his lifelong quest for freedom. Sir, can you tell me what the significance of Mr. Kościuszko is? What are the cultural and historical significance when it comes to this specific character?
Tadeusz Kościuszko urodził się w roku 1746.
Tadeusz Kościuszko was born on February the 4th, 1746, in the town of Mereszczowszczyzna, in what is today Belarus, but what was then part of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. He was a member of a moderately wealthy noble family bearing the Roch coat of arms. He was named Andrzej Tadeusz Bonaventura, although history knows him as Tadeusz. Belarusians say that he was born on St. Andrew's Day, a few days earlier. What we do know for sure is that he was christened on February the 12th in the church in Kosawa, Belarus. The church's interior has remained to this day, and we often visit Mereszczowszczyzna, where he placed a memorial plaque commemorating Kościuszko with the engraved date of his christening. Tadeusz went to school in Lubieszowo and then moved to Warsaw, where he studied at the Corps of Cadets. This was the first Polish military university, where the students were taught the art of war. Kościuszko was only 18 years old when he came to the capital. He then became an officer, but he couldn't get a job in the military, as there were no vacancies for officers at the time. Due to that fact, the king sent him to France, to Paris. However, he wasn't sent to a military school, but to an arts academy, where he studied painting. His military achievements became famous, but not much is known about his painting career. When the scholarship payments were late, Kościuszko painted portraits of noblemen to make a living. At the same time, he studied military tactics, but with private teachers. He then came back to Poland, but there were still no jobs for officers. The army was very small, and the well-educated Kościuszko couldn't put what he learned into practice. Therefore, he started working for the wealthy nobleman Sosnowski, who had 2 daughters, one of whom, Ludwika, became very much to Kościuszko's liking. What's more, at the Sosnowskis' estate, he could finally practice what he had learned. So, what did he do? In France, he had met a gardener from Versailles and, having learned a thing or two about gardening, he was tasked to design a park near the Sosnowski estate. In this park, there was a small bower where Tadeusz met Ludwika. After a while, Sosnowski wanted to get his daughter married, so Kościuszko put on his officer's uniform and asked the magnate for Ludwika's hand. However, Sosnowski declined, saying that the daughters of aristocrats were not intended for such petty noblemen. Tadeusz was very struck by that and went to the king for help. But the king most probably said to Sosnowski that Kościuszko might try to take away his daughter against her will. In the end, that's exactly what happened. Ludwika drove off with the young officer and they planned to get married in secret. Unfortunately for them, Sosnowski's servants caught up with them, took Ludwika back and beat up Kościuszko, who was lucky to get out alive since an abduction was punishable by death, according to the traditional Polish law. Even though he wasn't killed, he had to leave the country and went to the United States, where the Americans were fighting for independence. And that's where he finally found a job.
Wobec tego Kościuszko musiał wyjechać. I wyjechał do Ameryki. Wyjechał do Ameryki, bo tam właśnie trwała wojna o niepodległość Stanów Zjednoczonych. I tam wreszcie znalazł pracę.
Our next guest is the historian Dr. Krzysztof Jabłonka. We will speak with him in Ościnna Pomockowska, an elder forest in Warsaw which served as the Polish line of defense that managed to repel the final assault of the Prussian army during the joint Prussian and Russian siege of Warsaw in 1794 as they tried to put down the Kościuszko uprising. General Kościuszko is a very prominent figure, but I was wondering if you can tell me a little bit about his background, his history, his family ties.
Ród Kościuszków wywodzi się z tak zwanego Górnego Polesia.
The Kościuszko lineage comes from the Upper Podlesia region. This was a territory belonging to the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and this area was ethnographically part of Ruthenia, meaning Belarus. We know of the oldest ancestor of Kościuszki, Simeon, who, in 1505, received lands from the later king of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Alexander Jagolian, who was then Grand Duke of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. He had a son, Constantine, and his sons called themselves Kościuszkos. In Belarusian, the name Constantine is pronounced Kostia, and his son will be Kościuszka. In that way, the Kościuszkos became a noble family in the Upper Polesia. Tadeusz Kościuszko's ancestors came from a village named Szesznowice. It is located a few dozen kilometers from Kobryn, located by the Brest River. Kościuszko's family held the rock coat of arms, a very important and interesting one. It was given to the Ruthenian nobility by the Polish aristocracy during the Union of Horodło in 1413. That was when 49 Polish noble families decided to share their coats of arms with the noble families of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. For his christening, he was given both Latin and Ruthenian names, Tadeusz, Andrzej, Bonaventurio, Kościuszko. He had an older brother, Joseph, who was unfortunately a rake and a drunkard and lost all his wealth. Tadeusz, on the other hand, moved to the capital and joined the Warsaw Corps of Cadets to compensate for his brother's misdeeds, as he was a very responsible man. There, he was trained to be one of the first officers of the reborn army of the Polish kingdom. After many wars, Poles had in a way lost their ability to rebuild an army. The Corps of Cadets was the first attempt to promote officers who were to become commanders of the reborn army. Kościuszko became fascinated with engineering. He went to Paris as the king's scholar, where he specialized in the construction of artillery engineering defenses, and became an expert in the construction of wedging forts which covered each army's rear guard. Thanks to that, he went on to build memorable and unique fortifications in many places, among others in the United States, for example West Point, or Camden County in the state of Georgia, but also here in Poland at Dobianka, where he built such impenetrable fortifications between a river and the Austrian border that the Russians couldn't get through there. And last, but not least, this redoubt here, the so-called Olszylka Powankowska, which was a fortified forest with several redoubts and cannons. This place later became a battlefield. The first fort built by Kościuszko was named Fort Arnold. However, it turned out the general was a traitor, so the fort was renamed Fort Clinton, after the mayor of New York. Kościuszko became famous for almost instantly being able to adapt the nearby terrain for strategic purposes. The first line of defense he was tasked with fortifying on the Hudson River was Ticonderoga, an Indian ground which supposedly means a hovering rock. There, Kościuszko advised fortifying the highest hill and dragging cannons to the top. However, the American generals laughed at the idea, said that it would be impossible to push the cannons to the top, and told the Polish officers to forget this tactic, adding that the British wouldn't be able to do it either. But then the British surprised the American patriots and pulled it off, thus proving to them that Kościuszko knew a lot about engineering. The Americans were forced to retreat, but the command was given to Kościuszko at West Point, where he went down in American history.
I razem z West Pointem Kościuszko przeszedł do historii Stanów Zjednoczonych.
General Tadeusz Kościuszko was one of the most prominent engineers and most brilliant military fighters of Poland. He left a mark on not only Poland, but also the history of the United States. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Travel, where we're continuing down the royal route, starting with the famous Nowy Świat, that's New World Street in beautiful downtown Warsaw. Apart from lots of elegant shops and restaurants, there's a lot of history on Nowy Świat Street. We'll encounter the spirits of Frédéric Chopin, Joseph Conrad, and none other than General de Gaulle. And we'll also digest the mysteries of the Polish pączki. That's right, the Polish donut. This is Fat Thursday. That's a holiday in Poland, once again. And we'll be seeing how many donuts we can eat on Fat Thursday, as they call it in Poland. That's the last Thursday before Lent. That's the time when we give up various things for a period of 40 days. And one of those things I'm going to give up after this, as you will see, is pączkis. The fun continues as we go in search of the mysterious Polish palm tree. All this and more as we explore beautiful downtown Warsaw, the royal route on Nowy Świat Street. You won't want to miss this. Lots of fun in store. Poland Daily Travel, the best travel stuff about Poland you've ever seen. So stay with us. We're glad you're along for the ride.
Okay, we're back, and we are, as we were going to go across the street, I suddenly saw this sculpture, and I said to Arthur, hey, what the heck is that? What does this sculpture mean? And he said, why don't you wait till that guy walks through the picture, and then we'll talk about it. Anyway, there's plenty of room behind, but, you know, people are in a hurry.
Monument of the partisans who were fighting for Polish independence during World War II. Of course, it's worth mentioning.
That's not a disaster story.
It's not a disaster story, but it's an amazing combination of the royal route, of fun, of nice and cozy places. And yes, there is a partisan. It's a place where people are meeting and hanging out. There is a lot of space in here, and we are commemorating our history because it's an amazing history.
Well, everybody does that, and Poland should too, especially having only been reconstituted as your own country again for 30 years, right? As one's only country for 30 years. But anyway, the partisan, people meet in this area. That's the thing. I'll meet you at the partisan. That's what they say, because it's a famous statue. And the symbolism is of the AK army and all of those, all of the things that were done by the Polish underground, because, you know, and the other connection is not just an accident that it's here, because remember, during the Second World War, de Gaulle was also in London, just like the Polish government under
Polish government on exile.
On exile, was in London. So both the French and the Polish had governments there. They got to know each other well. They worked a lot together in supporting the British and the Americans and when they started to reinvade Europe in June of 1944. It was supported heavily by, of course, the French and the Polish regular troops. That is a good place to have a partisan statue because it's de Gaulle roundabout. Yeah?
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And there is a palm tree.
What?
There is a palm tree.
I was going to cut you off. What?
There is a palm tree.
Yeah, well, let's go to the other side. Stay with us, and we're going to talk about a palm tree. We're back with Poland Daily Travel, and as we promised you, behind us is an actual palm. Is it an actual palm? It looks like an actual palm. I have no idea if it's an actual palm because I've never been brave enough to cross the incredibly crazy traffic circle which goes around it. The roundabout, if you're from England, the rondo, if you're from Poland. I mean, this is the equivalent, it's Warsaw's equivalent of that race around the Arc de Triomphe. It's madness over there. Nah, it's not so crazy. Actually, it's not bad, but if you run over there and the police see you, they will make you do community service for about 30 days. So I don't want to do that. But at any rate, is it real?
Well, that's a question that everyone is asking to us tour guides. Like, what the hell? You are having a palm tree in the middle of the city. What does it mean? And of course, we are...
Great Scott.
So that's not a real palm tree. That's first of all. But
what?
It's, well, unfortunately, and the Santa Claus does not exist. These are two things.
Let me, wait a second. Note to self. Go ahead.
You could just laugh at the very good joke, actually. Oh, that's it.
I am laughing.
Yeah,
I like Santa Claus. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
The palm tree represents shalom, greetings from Jerusalem Avenue to Jerusalem. Such trees are growing in Jerusalem, and this is Jerusalem Avenue, so that's why they literally put this palm tree in here, so to represent the fact that once upon a time 1/3 of the city was Jewish, and at the moment it's not. So such commemoration was simply constructed in here, but you know, really, where shall we meet? Let's meet next to the palm tree, and then everyone knows that there is only one palm tree in here. And
the palm, or the partisan, or
Charles de Gaulle.
The statue of de Gaulle. He's just behind us.
Mm-hmm.
He's looming over us with at his incredible height, with his rather large and odd fingers.
It's a precise replica from Paris. But you know, does he remind you of something like this, like his shape, the way he walks, maybe?
What? The way he walks?
Yes.
The way he walks.
Yes, we call him our favorite Johnny Walker sculpture.
Oh, because he looks like he's striding.
Yes, and that was a joke.
He's a great strider. Oh, wait! Oh.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
I'm supposed to make the jokes and you're supposed to laugh. Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind, we got it backwards.
So just tell me when to laugh.
Oh, whatever. It says laugh. Wrong place.
Okay.
Just, Charles de Gaulle, what time? 1890 to 1970. And there he is. What else is extraordinary about this particular part of the world?
Hey, how about our National Museum? That's our National Museum.
You mean down there?
And military museum in one. You can check out really interesting stuff over there. In the distance we can see Poniatowski Bridge, nice elements over there. Then in the distance our national stadium constructed for Eurocup 2012, NATO summit, climate summit organized, and just a few weeks ago another big conference took place in here. The building where Dom Party, as we call it, so the building right in here behind Charles de Gaulle, where Polish National Communist government was ruling. Once upon a time, if you got closer like this in here, you'd be sent to Siberia. And at the moment, people are chilling in between these columns because they put such windows over there, and there is a restaurant. You know, you can get your pizza in a place where once upon a time there was communist government ruling your country. That's an amazing change. And, you know, in this building, once upon a time, there was a big, huge, red communist star, and now there is big, huge, red Ferrari saloon and place in here, so
you
can get your capitalist Ferrari in a building where once upon a time
Yeah, because in my neighborhood where I grew up, everyone had a Ferrari. You know,
okay.
I'm glad that you said all of those things, and it's been a lot of fun, but I really feel like dancing.
Don't even point your finger over there because the dance you would be provided over there is absolutely not available for a regular family show.
And with that, Poland Daily Travel, we'll be back. I think we're going to go walk down Nowy Świat after this long and bracing series of episodes and still working off our donuts.